You got to think about the motives here, and you've got to be able to protect individuals, innocent Americans, against this kind of rabid political lawfare. This is political lawfare, and the appellate court is picking up on this. She's using this opportunity, this dislike of Trump, to try and bring it to her advantage. Oh, I'm going to go get Trump. I'm going to get Trump. Except she's not getting Trump. She's not getting him because it's not actually legal what she's doing. She's trying to insert herself. The state is trying to insert herself, itself, in between two parties that are trying to do a transaction. I'd just like to know, if there's no victim, if nobody's like, hey, I lost money, if everybody's happy, then where do you go with this, Letitia? The quick or short answer is nowhere, except that she's going to be out of a job when everybody realizes what a fraud she is, so why not turn to politics, right? Hence her going after Eric Adams' job. This is pretty frightening. I mean, we can't live in a world, we can't have a thriving business community if you have the state intervening in such crazy ways. And guess what? The appellate court knows it. The appellate court knows that this doesn't make any sense. In other words, they're like, what is this really about? Okay, so she's trying to say he's getting a benefit. Donald Trump's going to get a whole lot of money out of this because he's able to borrow at a reduced rate by telling Deutsche Bank that his properties are worth X, Y, and Z. But here's the problem. Deutsche Bank is the one that makes that decision, not Letitia James. And Deutsche Bank made the decision to lend the money. And it turns out that they have a whole bunch of different things that they look at. And this particular valuation on Trump Tower in Mar-a-Lago, she's citing square footage, she's citing rules at Mar-a-Lago, I'm assuming because it's a historic property, you can't just knock the whole thing down and build it back up again. She's citing these little things and saying that's enough to put them away for $500 million, $489. And the judge is like, this is crazy. So here she gets called out. I want you to see this here. Letitia James trying to say that, he's getting all this benefit. And the judge is like, but wait a second. Again, Deutsche Bank made the decision.
If you look at what the Deutsche Bank witnesses testified to, Haig said that the financial strength of the guarantor affects the pricing in terms of the loan, and it affects whether the private wealth management group would be allowed to do this deal at all.
Doesn't Mr. Haig testify that there were 14 factors and this was the least important factor?
Well, certainly there are multiple factors that go into the risk assessment, but both for materiality and for disgorgement, the issue is not whether there's only one factor. There's often a lot of factors that are being considered. For materiality, it's whether it's important to the overall total mix of information. And this was absolutely critical to the overall mix of information, not only because they were looking specifically at what the net worth was in order to decide the terms of the loan.
Okay, you keep telling yourself that, Judith. Okay, you keep going. I get it. You got to carry Letitia's water, and that's a lot of water to carry. All right. So the judge is like, no, wait a second. Like wasn't even that big a deal. I mean, there were 14 different factors, and it was this least important of all. I don't think you have a case, girl. There is no case. And so there is, bottom line, I think that the biggest problem with all this, they're creating something out of nothing because Letitia knew which way the wind was blowing in terms of New York, in terms of New York City. She wants to get herself onto bigger and better things. But there's a little problem in the works in that, there's an appellate court. And the appellate court, any day now, mark my words, is going to reverse this case. I'm going to play you some more sound from these judges because, again, this has just come in. I reviewed the entire thing, and I'm like, wow. I mean, I know there's a lot going on today. We're going to talk about the hurricane as well. I mean, there's just and the quote-unquote misinformation, disinformation campaign out of the White House that they're trying to tell everybody else they're part of. Really pretty crazy stuff. But I'm just struck by all this because this is somebody who really was trying to use this kind of lawfare, and it's right on display. She's getting called out for it here. And it's amazing to see. So one of the issues that kept coming up in Letitia James's case is, and Donald Trump was like, what's the deal? You build a company, you do a good job, and now they go after you for everything. Why? Because they don't like your politics? Well, the judge is saying it's kind of like a private thing, right? You got two parties, they're pretty sophisticated. Why is it that you are suddenly involving yourself. State, Judith Vail, Representative Solicitor General for the state of New York, representing effectively Letitia to try and get this thing all the way through. The appeals court, Donald Trump appealed it right away. And it will get reversed. And this is one of the reasons why. Let's go to this tape.
It was using...
I'm sorry, but what's being described sounds an awful lot like a potential commercial dispute between private actors.
Well, to go back to the first question about whether there's other examples of this, there are other examples of this. In the First American case, the Attorney General brought a 6312 case where the transaction at issue was between a very big bank, Wells Fargo, and a professional appraisal firm.
But it wasn't wasn't the concern there that the public would ultimately be negatively impacted and affected by what those corporate actors were doing?
Yeah, and that concern is here as well, because when you have hidden risks getting injected into the market, that hurts the...
I'm sorry, I just have to jump in. That's really hidden. Okay, that's really hidden. Two parties making a decision, one lends money to the other, and somehow it's going to bring the whole system down, right? I don't think so.
Market and honest participants in the market. And the legislature also decided, contrary to what defendants think, that making sure that business in New York stays honest is the way to attract and keep business.
So to that point, the Executive Law 6312, I just want to read a section of it. Well, not exactly, but was enacted to promote and protect honesty and integrity. It's the same question I asked the other side. In commercial marketplaces in New York, by stopping fraudulent and illegal business.
By the way, if you ask me, this one judge is kind of on Letitia's side. If you just listen to the question, it's very interesting. It's a complete contrast to the other four judges there.
To accomplish this purpose, the statute authorizes the Attorney General to bring civil enforcement proceedings on behalf of the people whenever any person shall engage in repeated fraudulent or illegal acts or otherwise demonstrate persistent fraud or illegality in the carrying on, conducting, or transacting of business. I don't read harm or threat of harm in that, but the other side is saying that that is to be read into the statute. Are there any cases where the language harm or threat to harm limits the scope of the Attorney General?
Okay,
No,
so
Your
what,
Honor, not
she's like, no. So what they're getting at here and what this judge is getting at is how broad this law is. 6312, this particular statute that enables the AG, and apparently this has quite a history in the state of New York because AGs have fought to expand 6312 because, of course, they want the political wherewithal to go after any of their enemies or any of their donors' enemies, shall we say. So that's part of the reason for that. And they keep expanding this. And now the court's saying, but it's gone too far.